So I have read Death in a Winter, which is a Star Trek The Next Generation novel for BookTrek 2022. And that was created by Vin over at Revenant Reads, and I'll have his channel linked down in my description. So this novel was a mixed bag for me. I did greatly enjoy the plot. Beverly Crusher has been sent to a planet called Cravatus. It's on the outer rim of the Romulan Empire. They are suffering from a epidemic of some kind that is killing a large percentage of their population, and the Empire will not send them any sort of aid. So they have reached out to the Federation for help. So she is there disguised as one of the natives of the planet, and she ends up getting caught. And Captain Picard is then sent to complete her mission. So he goes there also in disguise with another doctor and a small little crew to develop the vaccine and help distribute it. And of course, he has every intention to look for Beverly Crusher as soon as he accomplishes that mission, because Starfleet has given her up for dead and he has not. So there's more going on in this book than just that storyline, however. For example, we follow Captain Picard through his process on this planet. We follow Beverly's trials being a prisoner. And we also get a glimpse on what's happening on Romulus. The Praetor, who is now Tellura, as you Star Trek fans may recall from the Nemesis movie, and she is having trouble keeping some rabble-rousers in check. We also follow a Romulan character named Aborian, who is trying to increase his importance to Tellura. So he's doing some underhanded things to accomplish that goal. And we see Worf and Geordi making plans to swoop in and help rescue Beverly Crusher. So all of these plots and subplots I really greatly enjoyed. It was just like a great episode of Star Trek TNG. Another thing I really liked about this book is this author has nailed every single one of the TNG characters. They are all spot on. They are completely and totally in character and believable. And I was very grateful for that. But as much as I enjoyed the plot and the accuracy of the author, there were some things that I found extremely frustrating about the book, and that I felt hampered the progress of that wonderful plot. And that was all of the callbacks. There are tons of callbacks to TNG episodes in this book, and they last for pages. I think the longest one was 5.5 pages of a description. I mean, these are descriptions of TNG episodes. And if you are a TNG fan, you're already going to know those episodes. You are not going to need the elaborate descriptions of what happens in these episodes. All he needs is the one sentence, and we're all automatically going to know exactly which episode he is referring to. That, I can only imagine, is there for people who are not TNG fans, but who are interested in reading this novel. Although I can't imagine, if you're not a TNG fan, that you would read this novel. So I just felt that, these many, many callbacks. I mean, this is how many callbacks there were. Like maybe 2 or 3 of these tags have to do with something other than the TNG episode callbacks. I have, 23 tags in this book. I felt like I was being hammered in the head with callbacks. I just, by the end of this book, I quit tagging the callbacks. There was actually like 2 or 3 more that I didn't tag because I was so tired of tagging these callbacks and then writing my thoughts about them in my book journal that I just gave up on it. It was very frustrating. The other thing I didn't like about this book was how do I say this without spoiling anything? So, towards the end, the situation on Romulus comes to a climax. And the main rabble-rouser gives this elaborate speech. But he concludes that elaborate speech with what sounds like an even longer speech about how much he loves the woman he's in love with. And this was apparently so moving that even the Praetor herself became jealous of the great love that they shared. Please. I swear, this is like the 5th Star Trek novel I have read this in the last month. And I am absolutely going to gag if I have to read about any more romance being intertwined with my Star Trek. I just want to read Star Trek, and I do not care at all about any of the romancy stuff. The only acceptable romance in Star Trek The Next Generation for me is Will Riker and Deanna Troi and Captain Picard and Beverly Crusher. I don't care about any other stupid romancy stuff. So between those two things, it nearly ruined the book for me. It was difficult for me to let go of my frustration to focus on the plot. Very difficult. So this would have been a 5-star Star Trek novel for me, if not for those things. As it is, I drug it down to a 3. Boy, there's just so much of it. It's just full of it. There was one other thing I should probably mention that didn't really affect me too much, but by itself, it didn't affect me too much. There were also a handful of references to another Star Trek TNG book by this author called Reunion. There are some characters in here who came from that book, and there is a handful of references to situations that happened in that book. I haven't read that book, and at first, while I was reading, I thought that maybe if I had read that book, I would enjoy this one more, but no. When you couple those reunion references with all of the callbacks to the TNG episodes, it was like a flood of frustration for me. Yeah, halfway through this book, I was about ready to scream. So yeah, that is my spoiler-free 2 cents on this book.